If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this barn. Hello, Frank.
Hello.
Hello.
I was trying to follow on. I got
Yeah,
nothing.
no, I threw you under the bus there. How do you follow that? Hello, Martin.
Hello, Brendan.
Hello, listeners. Oh my goodness, thank you for. Do we
Hello,
still say?
Brendan.
Yeah.
That's a great listener voice you've
That's
got
the
there.
nominated listener that says hello back.
What are you talking about? It's the magic.
It's the magic.
The magic.
I can hear the
them.
magic.
Yeah.
This episode of the Hammerbomb Project is called She Told You She Would.
Speaking of hearing magic, we just heard and saw some magic because we just watched this episode of Bluey.
Because we're
You mean like a
organised.
week ago?
Yeah.
We watched it a week ago.
We watched it a week ago. Yeah. No. I just pardon me while I wipe the tears from my eyes, both emotionally and from laughing. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Welcome. This is the Hammerbomb Project. We're gonna bark down an episode of this trying to tell them a program Bluey, which is what we do. But it's good to see you guys. Yeah.
Well, that was a bit of a
Well,
good...
you have to
Is
think
it
about
good
that, didn't
to
it?
see
I'm not so sure.
Oh, well, did it say that? No, I was
You just sort of trailed off at the end there. Just made it a bit, well, I wish I hadn't started
sorry.
that sentence. So.
Okay, I'll try that again. It's good to see you guys.
There you
How
go.
are you?
Inflection. It matters.
It matters. It does.
Yeah,
No.
good.
Yeah.
There are balloons around here, Frank.
There are balloons. We have Master Jack has turned 4 over the weekend.
Happy
and
birthday.
what's hilarious is that it's his mum's birthday about a week before. But because we've been leading into this, we've sort of been prepping him, going, Jack, who do you want? We didn't want him to freak out when the place was full of people.
Sure.
And as part of his birthday, we had a traveling farm come to the house.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. But going back to, said, oh, it's Mummy's birthday. And he's like, no, Jack's birthday. We're like, Jack's birthday is soon, but it's Mum's birthday right now. And he didn't quite understand the concept of Mummy gets to open the presents because they're not present. Jack sees something wrapped up and assumes it's for him.
I see.
And I think a bit of drama, a few tears, but the line that Ali and I still quote is he looks Ali dead on and just goes, Mums don't get birthdays.
Oh, wow.
So once he's
That's
old
a good
enough to
one,
understand what
Yeah.
he said
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
he said it, that one will get
That's
repeated
great.
back to him
that's-
several times.
That's not
Yeah,
going
put that-
away anytime soon.
Put that in the 21st PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
But no, so yesterday the party was really great fun. We had a traveling farm come through.
It was amazing.
There was quite an array of animals.
When you just sort of, the invitation said, oh, there'll be some animals there. And we're like, oh, Jack's going to love that. And I was just imagining, I don't know, maybe a sheep, maybe a goat, maybe a chicken. But there were so many. There was like an alpaca. There was a calf. It was
Yep.
just like, what a
The 3
setup.
baby lambs, they had
Baby
rabbits,
lambs,
guinea
chicks.
pigs, baby
Man.
chicks. Like
Oh,
the one
Jack
that
was in 7th heaven.
he was,
It really
and you
was.
could tell he
Love
was
that.
excited. I was a little worried that he'd get so distracted by that. So when his friends arrived, that he would
Yeah,
just
be like, nah.
blank them. But he would almost had quite
He
the opposite
did, yeah.
effect, right? He's in there in the middle, in his element, surrounded by animals, and he comes, I'd say, Jack, Riley's here. And he would just stand and announce. He's like, Riley's here, everyone. Riley's here.
Announcing it to the animals.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was absolutely really wonderful to see.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Ah,
really good.
what
The
a
animal that gets shouted out on the downside is our friend the pig.
I saw the photos. Yeah.
The pig itself, quite cute. Think Babe the movie for anyone who's seen
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
But it was very wet overnight, so the grass was very soft. Now I knew the grass was going to get trampled on, kids, hooves of animals. That's
Yeah.
fine. This pig took it to another level
Yeah.
and
really
was
did.
hunting for worms and basically digging up inches upon inches of turf
Yeah.
all around this area, and to the point where you go, there's no grass now. It's just mud.
Yeah. I saw the aftershocks
Oh.
of the lawn. It's
It
yeah,
was
it's got
pretty
some work to do.
horrendous.
Oh yeah. And Ali's like, can we just pat it down and the grass will grow? I'm like, no, this is almost like rip it out and start again sort of levels. Thankfully, it was contained within, a fence perimeter. So it's a pretty
Sure.
clear
That's
that you
right.
could cut. But it's a fair sizable. It's right in the middle of the lawn. It's not like it's down the back corner where no one's gonna see it.
Yeah.
It's you walk out and you're presented
Yeah.
with this lovely sure mud pit. So
Oh,
it's gonna be
dear.
good times.
By the way, Frank, can I borrow your lawnmower? Since you
won't
won't
be
be
needing
needing
it
it
anymore.
Touche. And no. So yeah, good times.
No, it was lots of fun. It was nice. Naomi was there, and I was wondering whether she was just going to go, no, don't want to be anywhere near it. Like,
Yeah, you
she's
never
not
can
great
tell.
with, you never can tell. She's not great with, big animals that are, like face height.
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
I'd be keen on it, frankly. If
yeah,
I wasn't,
yeah.
if I
were
6 foot.
surrounded by face height animals,
I would
I'm
not
not
be
sure
into
if
it.
I'd be into
But
it.
no, she went back in several times and she patted animals. And so
Oh,
that was
fantastic.
really nice. That was great. And yeah,
Oh, good on you
yeah,
guys.
so that was super fun. That was great. Ali did an amazing job with all the theming. It was incredible.
Yep.
It's going to be a hard act to follow, guys.
Oh, boy.
Like everything was farm animal themed.
Down
So,
to the napkins, all
Yeah.
the decorations. You
yeah.
got your helium
I think
balloons.
we're just going to give up now.
Just
Anybody
stop.
else is having a party ever again?
I have,
It's been done.
but for different reasons.
That's a very different type of giving up.
But let's not give up on this episode of. No, that doesn't work.
It was a good try.
It was, all I can do is try. Marty, do your thing you do.
Do my thing? Okay. So while it seems like a, regular fun episode with a bit of play in the middle, anybody who knows Joe Brum's stuff a little bit more deeply will know that this is actually just a reworking, a rehashing of his failed pitch for the 7th Fast and Furious movie.
I see, of course.
Subtitled
family.
That's it. Subtitled The Fast and the Intolerant. So obviously, there has been a few things replaced. Agatha's replaced with a lactose intolerant Colombian drug lord who wants soy milk. Obviously, that's been switched out.
Yeah.
And
Where do I buy
instead-
tickets? for
And
this?
instead
it's
of
failed. Sorry.
and instead of a curtain. So it's a trained jaguar, which is going to pee on a 13th century tapestry.
Ooh.
But
Hate that.
apart from those factors, the rest of the plot
Same.
is ostensibly the same.
Who turned this
um,
down?
Well, it was really the fact that it wasn't really explained why the hero's car was entirely powered by sour cream. And that is the reason
Yeah.
why it
Yeah.
failed in the end.
Yeah,
So-
the infrastructure of sour cream
Yeah,
refueling
the
stations
fuel-
just really hadn't caught up yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see.
yeah, and they didn't have the budget to CG all of that. So,
No.
but yeah.
Hey.
My favorite part of these is the bit where you get to the end and you just break.
Yeah,
Because you're like,
no
I've
steam left.
said all this ridiculous waffle and
No,
I've got nothing.
I can't carry it anymore.
Which is a funny way of saying this episode of Bluey is called Driving.
What's it really about? It's about driving.
Yeah, it is.
Is that it? Is that all you had? Because that'd be amazing.
No, that is what is it? I never actually prepped the second part.
No,
I'm just
you-
doing it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So it's Bluey wants to play a game of driving with Mum, and we find out that Mum's really quite task oriented, quite goal oriented, and it's them finding a game that they can kind of both enjoy and just having a moment together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, and there's just some absolute cracker lines in this one. Let's talk about the real star of this particular
Oh, he's
episode.
taking it. He's taking it.
Who are we going to
Oh,
say it is,
man.
Frank?
Stolen it.
Who are we going to say
if,
it is?
if it's not Agatha,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
here.
That's what I'm getting at.
Agatha.
So good. I do like to think of my Colombian drug lord, the lactose intolerant Colombian
That's not
drug lord,
bad.
as wearing the star
Oh, boy,
sunglasses
wouldn't they
as well.
just? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
And always
it.
looking unhappy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
told you
just
I would.
looking in like a moo-moo.
Very threatening character. Very threatening character these criminals would be as well, yeah.
That Colombian drug lord wouldn't do that. Oh, she'll do it all right.
Yeah. I told you I would. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
But this episode is so freaking hilarious. It's just pow, pow, pow. I'm in tears.
Even just in that first sequence where in the kitchen before
Yes.
the main driving
Yeah.
sequence happens. And I missed it the first, like I only, upon watching it to record this podcast, I only noticed the one where, because obviously we have
Chili in mum mode from the very, very
Yes.
beginning.
it's
Yeah,
totally in my
opening
mode,
seconds,
just
yeah.
doing things. She can tell that Bingo's wearing the things without looking
Yes.
at
Yeah.
the fridge.
Yeah.
She's just got her head in the fridge. But then I love when Bingo
Yeah,
comes in
looking.
and she's looking around and Mum's
Doesn't
just
even
like,
say anything.
Doesn't even say, it's like there.
There points to the
Look at
hockey stick.
That's the
Little-
hockey stick I
little
was
mini
looking for,
hockey.
yep.
Mini hockey, is it?
Yeah,
Is
she
it?
does pretty hockey.
There. Oh.
And just like signing forms.
Oh,
She
man.
makes
That's morning
toast
tea.
for
Now let's get dinner in the slow cooker.
Yep.
and she
like,
makes
boom, boom,
toast
boom.
for Bluey and gives it to her without being asked
Yeah.
at all. So she's
Ah,
just buttering
She's
things.
on fire.
here we go. Here's my question for you,
Mm.
Madge. So
Uh-huh.
you can see a little bit of Madge on the screen, and she kind of looks like a bulldog.
Okay.
Do we think that
Oh.
Madge might be Winton's mum? Have we met Winton's mum?
No, we haven't met Winton's mum. I've
Okay.
heard it on. I don't think it was on our show, but someone else spoke to Joe Brum about Winton and the dad that as they appear in episodes, and they're separated, I believe. So
Yeah.
single dad. So no, I don't think there's ever been.
Okay, that's an
So-
interesting theory.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You heard it
Not
here
bad.
first.
Yeah, because as we know, most of the dogs are in pairs of the same breed.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how, 'cause I think that was kind of based on. Once again, I'm not sure if it was in our chat with him or a different one. Joe was talking about how he really liked Peppa Pig and the fact that each of the different families was a different type of animal.
Yeah,
so they're all
sure.
kind of
Yeah,
like paired
yeah,
up
yeah.
that way, and then they did the same
Okay.
thing with breeds.
For some
But,
reason,
yeah.
I had it in my head that Madge would have been a bit older because
Because she's concerned about somebody stealing her stepper.
yeah,
Is that-
yeah, it's someone that she because does Chili has it been established that Chili works with Madge? Because
Yeah, 'cause she says it's a work thing.
and it was in what episode was it in that?
It's a quiet game. 'Cause
Yeah,
she has to
yeah,
go
yeah,
into
she has to
work,
go
'cause
into work
Why
'cause
don't you
Madge-
take better care of yourself?
yeah,
So maybe that's it.
Yeah,
okay, maybe
yeah.
that's
She's
why you
looking
assumed she
after
was
Madge.
older.
And also because Chili is doing a lot of stuff for Madge, and Madge seems to. Maybe I'm just being ageist. Maybe I'm just really
Just
demanding.
a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay. Oi.
But yes, great conversations. Great classic office one side of the telephone
boy.
conversation. No, peak mum.
Peak
mum.
mum.
Mm,
Ah, just give that woman a medal.
And even just the exchange with Bluey is really nice too, because it's like, oh, can you play
Yes.
Drive with me? Oh, I'm really sorry. I can't. I'm busy right now, or something like that. she says.
Yeah.
And then the way Bluey takes it is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Bluey's
fully,
Bluey is
yeah,
being
it's like,
super
yeah, No, I
understanding.
understand.
Yeah.
And then there's the second line where I really think it's Chili trying to explain to herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
why she does
Justify it.
She's
Yeah.
trying to justify it for herself more than she's trying to explain to Bluey. Because Bluey's already accepted it. She
Yeah.
gets it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't just drop everything for
Yeah.
to
And,
play with you.
to me,
Like,
that line is for the parents, because one of the critiques of this show from parents is they go, how do these parents find the time
Yeah,
to play all
yeah,
these
all these
wonderful
things.
games with their kids? And that line where she goes, I can't just stop what I'm doing to play with you. That was for the parents to just go, that's what I feel like in those sorts of scenarios where your kid is saying, come on, let's do this, let's play. And we find,
like-
I think a lot of season 3 has been about breaking some of the myths around the healers being these perfect
Magical
parents
parents.
and this sort
Yeah.
of thing. And this is another one of those where you go,
Okay.
that scenario happens even to the healers, where there's just
Mm.
stuff going on in life and you can't, drop what
Yeah.
you're doing.
And I kind of like that Bluey is understanding for the fact that, you see a lot of Hollywood movies and the moral around the parents becoming better parents and because they're obsessed with their job or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's this movement where they realize, oh, what's really important? They come back to the kid.
Sure.
And the kid's always like, oh, you never had time and really disappointed. But Bluey's not disappointed. She's obviously like kind of understand. She's a
Yeah.
nice, good-natured kid who's understanding that mum's busy. But it's still that kind of speaks to real life that it still is hard when you realize that you do have other things on, even when your kid's being understanding.
Yeah.
I imagine it's still a bit like, oh, well, but I do want to be there. It's nice that plays out and Chili has that conscience,
Mhm.
even though, yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool.
And Bluey is so genuinely excited where she's like, I've got
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Yeah,
And she's
yeah.
like, oh, really? For
It's
real?
nice
Hooray!
that Chili
Hooray,
was
that's what it is,
motivated to go, no. Oh, look, 5 minutes. I can do 5 minutes, even though she wasn't, for want of a better term, guilt tripped by
Yeah.
Bluey
Yeah.
because Bluey was being understanding.
Yes, that's
but
it. yeah.
but still, when she did commit to the 5 minutes,
Mm.
it's also nice that Bluey was as excited as she would be if she was heaps disappointed. And it's really cool. And oh my god, the 5 minutes, the timer.
The timer? Yeah.
Living with my sister, like seeing
It's a
how
thing.
huge a
Yeah.
like, but and it like almost like it's quite regular that it's like, all right, so it's bedtime, but okay, you got 10 more minutes on this, and then there's a lot of hey, preferred voice recognition software. Set a timer for da da da,
This amount
and
of
then it's
time.
well, it's going. The timer's going off. Let's
let's go.
It's like a really really helpful tool to have.
Yeah, there's so many things that go like this many more episodes,
Yeah,
this many more something, this amount of time.
That's
5 more minutes and then counting down, which you then can flex.
Yeah.
Because kids have no perception of what a minute is.
yeah. And it's almost like, well, look, I can prove that that's.
Yeah,
you can't
science.
argue that
True.
it hasn't been 5 minutes. Here's the proof. And so that's such a like. You're gonna argue with your preferred voice recognition software, but that's a real shock of reality. That the use of the timer in that episode, it's really good.
Robot Nation.
Robot Nation.
I mean, honestly, if it were not for the
Robot
Colombian
Nation.
drug lord, Chili is the dead set star of this
Yeah.
episode.
fair
Just
enough.
and going back
So
to
we've
that,
we've just painted that's what Agatha is now to her.
I mean, we maybe should stop referring to her as that. In fairness, because she'll find us and she'll do it.
Oh,
she'll do it.
she said she would.
But Chili strikes that wonderful balance again of, there's games you play with your kid and you go, this is really repetitive, this is really boring, this is physically straining. Jack has taken to me being a literal horse at the moment. I have to get down on all fours and he jumps on my back. Great.
Horses love tiles.
Yeah, he must have some deal with my physio or something because the two are in cahoots.
Yeah. To be fair, when you did go for the hard floors in this house, that was before you knew Jack would be a farm
kid.
animal maniac.
Yes. Anyway, but yeah, and so there's that bit where she struggles initially, where she's just like, I'm not very good at this game, and she tries to inject a bit of wackiness into it, and Bluey's like, no, I just want to drive. And sometimes I think that's, even though it's not fun for the parent, it doesn't make sense to the parent. That's things that you do that you just go, my kid's enjoying this, I'm going to take that as a win. So I shout out to that. But then, of course, because it's Bluey, because it's entertainment, like it just goes to another level. And it comes back to that thing of, I'm not very good at this. What's the line? Because I need to have a purpose.
Yeah.
I think.
Like
And that,
I'm
helping
better
people.
when I'm helping people.
yeah, when I'm
yeah.
helping people. And that's that whole opening scene where she's just doing 25 things at any one moment. Like, there was a nice way to just reinforce that initial point. And then they just do turn it into Fast and the Furious. I particularly like it when they're doing the corner and Bluey has to hang out the left to like counterbalance it. Like,
On 2 wheels.
This is
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, that's like you're in a catamaran. That's what they do when you're sailing. Like
Everyone's
hanging
to the
out.
left.
In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of those sailboats will have like harnesses that stick out so that when you're really, really turning
You
like
lean
that,
all the way
you can
out.
get someone on the harness and you can really, really make a tight turn. I love that they brought that. Like the physics in this episode is so good. The up the hill, down the hill, and when you're turning corners really tightly, the camera's tilting.
Yeah.
And it's all so fun. But also talking about the way that Bluey's playing and how it might not suit the way that Chili likes to play. This is a real episode for showcasing Bluey's maturity, I think.
Yeah.
Like we already spoke
100%.
we already spoke about her going, no, it's okay. I'm not upset. I can, I understand. And then when she's playing in a way that Chili can't really get behind and Chili's like open with her, and I can only imagine that kind of maturity is instilled in a kid by parents being open and honest and talking about these things, and Chili's just doing everything right by just kind of talking about why she's feeling the way she's feeling about the play. And then Bluey is so on it to go, oh, okay, now that you've told me that
you need a goal.
you need a goal. Let's work. It's not
Chat to the
Bluey going,
Colombian
no,
drug
but we're
lord."
playing this way. I want to play this way. She's pushing and pulling and giving and taking with Chili, and just says, oh well, let's
Ask Agatha.
Agatha needs a cup of tea. Like why don't it's I think it's Bluey who suggests we should go to the shops.
Yeah.
And Chili's like, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
And then when the call comes in, she's like, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. And then, Bluey makes Agatha say, if you're not back in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
right.
She
She's
puts
on
that
it.
into
It's
the
teamwork.
improv. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bluey is to Agatha what Chili is to Madge, and like supporting them, doing them, and like looking out for them, and and then we get to the moment where Agatha makes the threat. which is just so funny. And there's almost a point like Bluey's catching up with Chili and playing the way that they can find a way to play together. And then there is that little lull when she says, "Oral."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, I'll pee on your curtains." and then it just becomes the rig.
What?
and then do we address it now when she finally gets back, or do we leave it?
Haven't we already said it?
Have we already said it?
Well, we
Just-
haven't done the.
we haven't-
Oh, Agatha, we're back.
we
We're.
did it.
Oh no.
Just the music dies and she peed on the curtain. I told you I would. It's just laugh out loud. Oh my word.
Frank, you were talking before about playing horse and things like that. Do you play any sort of driving games? with Jack?
Not so much driving. He's been getting a little bit more into dinosaurs, which, as far as animal
okay.
Nice.
is
An excellent
very cool,
development.
Very cool. Knows a couple of the basic species, but no, not a lot of. It's either hiding, like as in a cardboard. He's a bit of a cat, right? Cardboard box. I will fit. I will sit, and I will attempt to hide myself in this box that is really physically too small. But no driving games.
Because
really.
the one I play with Naomi, we don't do driving specifically. I'm trying to remember if we've done, because we did do a couple of fantasy type things, but what we do is motorcycle, which is basically I'll ride on my bike, I'll lie on my back, I'll hold my hands up like handlebars, and I can hold her hands.
Excellent.
And then that means that you can do the turns,
Yeah.
corner,
Cool.
and do the
Cool.
bumps and all that sort of stuff, and
Sick.
rock her around.
Oh, can I
we
have
after. But we had a really good one recently where it was like the transforming, vehicle, because we had to go over water, and you really can turn it into a little bit of a D&D experience where it's like, oh no, this is happening, oh no, that's happening. And
Yeah.
they get to make choices. But what this episode, especially the first bit, because we have the first sequence of driving before we get into the exciting chase sequence. The first sequence of driving just reminds me of how much kids like the procedural part of the play.
Yes.
Like, unlock the door, lock the door, put on the seatbelt,
Seatbelt,
turn the key.
yeah.
Like, that's the bit that they usually want to repeat the most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is funny because it's not actually the bit that the one that kills me is whenever we want to play going to bed.
Yeah.
Because you get your pillow, you get your blanket, you and then you lay down, and as a parent, you're like, oh, thank God I'm lying down. And it's like 1.5 seconds before, good morning.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and then you just have to repeat and it's irritating because it's like, no, the covers have to cover all of me.
Yeah.
And they have to cover all of this toy. And no, that blanket's not big enough. And you have this whole rigmarole around trying to get everybody to sleep. And then the sleeping part only
Is
lasts-
4 seconds.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just all the procedural elements of
Yeah.
getting, being in that space. I'm trying to remember. That was another thing I was doing.
Bluey as a show has always been good at pointing that, because it's the stuff that really on the surface should be boring.
Yes.
But it's so funny because that's what the kids latch
That's what
onto.
kids
That's
do.
they
Yeah.
do.
That's
And
what it
it's so
was.
true to life.
Yeah, when I'm playing the motorcycle game, we do petrol. Like, oh no,
Right.
we've run out of petrol, and there'll be something that's her key, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh no, I have to get the key to do
Yeah.
the thing. To
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
you've got
yeah.
to use
Okay.
the same key every time. So that really rang
Yeah.
through to me at the start.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
going through all that process. Having Chili doing the radio voices.
Oh my God.
I was actually just going to look up
Brilliant.
the transcription of that because it's so quick.
Oh,
And it's in
The
amongst
zany,
Bluey.
the wacky morning zoo crew.
Yeah.
With like this
With
and this.
Basho,
And
Flip, and Dutsy.
Now he's
the
got
one.
And me, Kelly C. Because it's always something.
Basho, Flip, and Dusty.
Yeah, that's
Is
so
that
good.
what it was?
You can imagine something
Oh,
like that,
boy.
and you can imagine the bus poster for those guys or whatever it
Absolutely.
is.
Oh man.
It's so spot on. And also the classical radio station guy.
Yeah.
I listened to. Well, there was a time at uni where I could only listen to. Well, I was listening to classical music. I can't remember why, and it's just so spot on. I used to try and do an interpretation of that guy
Yeah.
because it's just sort of so slow and
Yeah.
Methodical,
blah.
Yeah.
And that was from his Baroque period.
Period. Yeah.
And now for some Mendelssohn.
And she starts doing a little.
Yeah.
Oh,
She flips so quickly between these. Oh, it's just so classy. Robot Nation.
It's a robot nation.
Speaking of the music, Chili's ringtone. Anyone?
Oh, no. What is it?
It's a Paw Patrol.
Is it really?
You're joking.
Nope. So says the Bluey Wiki. Chili's ringtone is the same one used on Paw Patrol. So I don't think it's
Is
a
it
Paw
the-
Patrol
it's not
song,
the
to be
Paw Patrol
clear.
song.
Okay.
In Paw
Oh,
Patrol,
okay.
when the phone rings, which is like a regular occurrence on
Yeah,
the show,
of course, because they have to get
it's the
rescued
same
from something.
ringtone.
Okay. That's very
The Bluey
interesting.
multiverse is real.
That's-
Yeah, I was going to say
That's
what's
very
that-
interesting for reasons that will become apparent later.
Oh,
Whoa,
Oh, mysterious.
Yeah, I'm a mysterious guy.
yeah, you really
Interesting.
are. We haven't talked about the windscreen wipers either.
I'll just put them on sometimes.
How dare
Just
we
sometimes.
forget? I'll just put them on the sometimes, and then later when it's really raining, you can't see. Like, oh, put them on all the time. Yeah, all the time. I'll put them on, always on. I just love that. Reminds me of my first car, the 1977 Holden Gemini, that did have 2 settings.
Yep.
It had
Oh, wow.
it had 2 fast. The
Mhm.
first setting was too fast for light rain,
Yep.
and the second setting was faster but too slow for heavy rain.
Yes.
And that was all it had.
I think there's nothing that makes me happier. You know those situations where you just interact with something, you're like, oh man, I wish you could do this, because it was always the fact that slow was not fast enough,
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
or intermittent. The intermittent setting was
Yeah.
just annoying. And now I've got a car, and I imagine most other cars
Yeah.
actually have you
dial.
can dial
Yeah,
up or
yeah,
down
yeah.
the
Yep.
intermittency. That just makes me so happy.
It's-
Finally.
yeah,
It's such
It
a
makes
quality of
sense.
life
it
improvement,
really
right?
is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, 'cause it's irritating.
And and if you're anything like me, now you take it completely for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
It's
these
our
are
lot
me.
in life.
No, I don't. Every
You
time I
don't.
turn
Okay.
that little knob,
Well, you're a better person than
like
me.
dopamine just rushes through me. It's just so happy.
What an incredible advancement.
I mean, of course, these days you have the cars where it's the rain sensor. You don't even need to
yeah, I don't
turn
like
the thing.
that. I want
Well,
the
see, this is the thing,
Yeah.
right? With the 2 cars we've got, Ali's car, I was very skeptical when we got Ali's car first. Rain sensor. I was like, what a load of rubbish. And to be fair, I reckon it's a bit like speech recognition. It gets it 90% of the time.
Right.
And I'm like, do you know what? This is not bad. Only when it like really comes in really suddenly do you need to manually do it. So when I got my car, I was like, oh, it's a newer car. Well, it's going to have
Yeah.
a better sensor. My car sucks.
Oh,
When it
man.
comes to the rain sensing wipers, it just has a mind of its own. And even when I swear there's a lag. I'll turn it up to a manual setting that I need and then go, okay, the rain's eased off, put it back down. And it still maintains it for
Crazy.
like 30 seconds. And you're like, I'll get out and do it myself
Yeah.
because this is really frustrating me.
It just
Oh,
makes me think
man.
of that time you were telling us about Frank. You had your sunroof open while you went. It had stopped raining, and then you opened up your sunroof and went for a drive, and then you put the brakes on.
Yes.
And then all the water just came in.
All the water that was sitting on top of the
Oh,
sunroof.
No,
I hit
I
the
haven't heard that
brakes,
story.
and it was just this, and because of where it sat, it was like right over the console, right on my head. This line of water. I just went, "That's on me."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I love your reaction to that. You're just kind of like, "Yep, no, I deserve that one."
You never told me that. I'm sorry. That is hilarious.
That's pretty good.
That is brilliant. Oh, and what's the other thing we can't forget? The wipers are amazing. And what else was it?
You had flight mode this whole time.
Oh, so funny. When it just starts flying, and it's cool because it's a shot from low down, and
Yeah.
you
So
can
they've
see
got
the
the-
molding of the ceiling.
And then the
That was
camera starts to
classic.
just slowly sort of shift,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
are flying. Like things like I think of it like Mario Kart hang gliding.
Yeah.
That is the emotion
That's-
I get.
that-
yeah.
yeah.
My original Bare Bones had something about, Mario Kart and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but 100% the Mario Kart
Yes.
sensation of when you fly off the edge
Oh,
of something
nice.
and
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
you're in the
Oh,
hang
boy.
glider thing. But
It's so funny. I can't even remember. Like when they ram the shop.
What I love about that sequence is when they do it and she comes around the corner and they're looking at the camera the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you as the viewer, you're the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
You're annoyed that we've rammed your shop. Quick, he's coming. Let's get out of here. Get in the car. Get in the car. I think, it's not very often that Bluey breaks the fourth wall in that way,
Yeah.
but this was a real subtle sort of just
so
like,
funny.
oh.
It's so funny the way they play out that crime.
yeah,
Just
it is,
ram raids
really.
the shop and Chili's
But I
fine
get
with
those
it.
ones to be on my
Because I think
garden.
it's kind of like tongue-in-cheek moment where they're both playing maturely enough to
You
know
can't do that.
no, we wouldn't do this. Chili's not condoning it. Bluey's not suggesting that they actually do, but it's just this fun thing where they ram raid a shop and she leaves the money for him in the thing.
just on the floor. I'll just put it on the
On
floor or something.
Quick,
isn't it?
get out of
Yeah.
there.
And
Not
even-
allowed to park in the.
Yes, that's what I was going to get to.
Take
you
it
can't
around
park
the
in the
shop.
No.
She's okay with ramming the shop, but don't like
Park in the
those parks are
accessible
not for you.
space. Yeah. I do have to go. I got to come back because we went.
We've gone
We
all
went
over the
all
shop.
over the
Yeah,
shop
yeah,
like
yeah.
a crazy driving car.
Yeah, all over the shop.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Now you've made a joke of it. Now
All
we have to
into the
keep in that
shop.
thing where I like completely flub my words. Damn it. But there are so many good little like there's when Blue is just driving along and it's getting boring. There's the pan out just to kind of show that it's boring and like there's nothing else going on in the space. But I do love, and I'm fairly sure that before that point, before they get to the race, there isn't any of the camera shake or camera bump or
That's cool.
camera reorientation. So that's when
effects,
the camera effects get more
all these
exciting.
subconscious things for the viewer, like you're
And then
not-
there's a bit of, I swear there's a bit of parallax as well with the sliding left and sliding right with some of the layers in the background.
Sure.
So that just makes it feel more rich. as
really
well.
a really action-packed camera angles, like stuff parallax especially. There's movement, there's energy on the screen with that, and in stark contrast to the thing that you might have only unconsciously sort of noticed the pan out to the boring. It's just like the painting that difference in the play just with the actual cinematography. It's 101.
And the spin around. We
Yeah.
specifically mentioned it. It's
Yeah.
just like
It's
the,
so good.
It's, in theory, it's when they're going into the parking space, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or something like
right.
that.
Yeah.
Something like that. They're going around and sliding in the parking space, and you just get the blur in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. That's
so
another
nice.
Fast and Furious. Too fast, too intolerant.
Yeah, that's it.
So this one also has a bit of censorship in it for our Disney Plus.
Oh,
really?
Hang on.
Yeah.
For reals?
Yeah. So apparently in the Disney Plus version, the threat of peeing on the curtains
Oh, I knew it. I knew it would be
Yeah.
that the moment you said it.
Yep.
Yes.
changing to scratching of the curtains,
Oh,
which is pretty
Ah.
lame.
That's a bit disappointing.
Is that now that is, and that's
Now
confirmed?
you know
That's true.
everyone.
Well, again, basing on the Bluey wiki, to any of our American listeners, please reach out because I know they've flip flopped on a few of these now that
They
were
have.
censored
That's
initially,
true.
and then people have got like even entire episodes that were banned previously, like
Yeah.
teasing and that they've now since
Brought
been
in,
released.
but-
So I'd
Yeah.
be curious whether this censorship is still present.
It's so much funnier.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because then you just
is
like
funny.
Cats pee on curtains, people.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Horses poop. Jack could know
We all do
about
it.
that.
It's just a matter of where we do it.
God, I don't know. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe their reasons are good reasons, but it is.
You
It is.
can ram raid a shop. But
Yeah.
you can't pee on a curtain. No.
No.
That's too much.
That's a bridge too far.
Oh, long dogs though.
Ooh.
And you noticed I used the plural there. It's
Two?
a bit of an odd one in this one. So there's quite clearly, and this one they stay on the screen for a fair bit of time actually. So one is when Bluey's in the shop getting the milk. So on the sitting around the corner in the background, on the what is it?
The
area-
veranda?
Veranda.
Yep.
Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Is a long dog that's dressed up like Agatha. So it's got the
It's
star
got the star
glasses, and
glasses.
a little
Nice.
hat.
Excellent.
So that's pretty clear. But the really weird thing is there's another dog that looks awful lot like a long dog, but it's wearing a Viking helmet and looking unhappy in the background. And that's in one of the other sequences. So
yes.
it makes me wonder whether that's an accidental holdover from another episode.
Yes.
It's a bit of an odd one.
Without getting
Yeah,
the
without
old-
mentioning
yeah,
it at
yeah,
all.
yeah. I know the one.
So
Yep.
when a Viking helmet comes into play, so it's a bit odd. It's kind of
Interesting.
there, but pretty clear that it's meant to be the Agatha one
Yeah.
is the key one. But
I feel like that might be, if our next episode was to be Viking themed, that might be interesting to try and look at
pick
some
out.
bit of linkage.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I
interesting.
noticed both of those. Maybe the second one isn't actually a long dog and it's just a dog with a Viking helmet on, but it looks a heck of a lot like one. So.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah. I have to say, when they talk about the breaking into the shop,
Yeah.
every time I just think of, am I to figure out how to get 2,000 brown M&Ms? Otherwise, Ozzy won't go on stage.
Wow.
What?
It's just that,
Where's
jumping
the-
over the bloody Great Bengal tiger.
Oh, yes.
And that was
Right.
great. I'm not
Wow.
going to tell any more of it because
Wow, Wayne's World 2
Wayne's
reference.
World 2
Yeah.
reference. So that's just
That's
what I
a
think about.
deep
when-
cut.
Deep cut.
Ooh.
But just
We had to
breaking
beat
in
them
somewhere to
death
get.
with their own shoes.
Yes.
Wowee.
Just the idea of breaking into a shop to get something when you,
Yeah.
for some ridiculous
Yeah.
reason.
Agatha
on the request
does
of
have,
somebody,
especially with those glasses, does have that ridiculous request of a
like
rock
diva,
star thing.
diva rock star sort
Yeah.
of feel. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
it.
good. No, that was. I thought that was a long bow, but
It's a
you
tenuous
drew
link, but
it.
you did it.
We have spoken about like the comedy of the
Mm.
episode. Is now a good time to get into like
Pathos.
the pathos and the punch to the heart that you get toward the end
Oh,
there.
the
Is that where you
closing
is that
sequence.
where you were going to go with what you want?
Not
or
100%.
you still have
It's-
funny
no,
stuff to
it's-
say?
No, not funny stuff, but it was just something else that I've been noticing. But yes, we do really need to talk about like
I
the beautiful
the
moment.
mum, the mother daughter
The end.
moments in this.
So sweet.
They're so mature. It's so mature
yeah,
and so nice.
and
Madge has
they're
got, like, the-
appreciating each other,
Yeah.
And
appreciating their time
The
together.
timer went off. They both understand that that's Chili gave what she could.
Mm.
She's got things to do, and they're just about to go their separate ways.
The
And
stop
then
of the look
and they
back.
stop the look back. They
Yeah.
know, they understand each other, and they have a hug for crying out loud. It's too much.
And then they're just like, okay, now let's sort out the real world.
Now let's sort this out.
Now
sort
let's sort this out. And the final line of the episode, just it's just so nice. Like, how dare they, funny, pow, 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 pow,
Yeah.
and then still with the
Still with the heart
emotional
stinger
gut
at
punch.
the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just brilliant.
One thing I've been noticing a lot more, we've been watching a lot of Bluey. What are we up to? Episodes now? Anyway.
Yeah,
but
63.
Not to date the podcast.
Yes, it was him. I meant to do it to rub it into you, but you did it. You rubbed it into yourself.
But one of the things I think I was talking to you guys. I don't think we've actually talked about on the podcast. Is there's about 3 different angles to a healer face or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're looking straight on,
Yeah.
or there's kind of a side shot, or there's a
Sure.
full side on.
Mm.
And you can I'm starting to see the way they break down the characters and how they use the different elements.
Cool.
One of the things that I don't think we've talked about at all, and it's really interesting to watch, is how much they get out of eyebrow movement, eyelids, and mouth shape.
Oh boy.
And there's
Mhm.
not much changing apart from that, which is amazing. Like sometimes you have the cheek squishes up into the eye.
Mm.
That happens a
Yeah.
couple of times in this
Yeah, yeah.
episode. But really, there's, it's not like the snout changes shape or anything else changes shape much.
Sure.
So it's that, if you're watching, next time you're watching, just see how they get expression out of just what the eyebrows do.
Yeah.
Just
How
in
much
the face,
which
yeah.
eyelid is shut, is it the top, is it the bottom, is it squinty? And just the couple of, few different mouth shapes. And it's just amazing to see
Oh boy.
the range of emotions. The one I really got stuck on was obstacle course, and you don't have to hit me because we've already done that.
Mm.
But there's just so many different, very particular expressions they managed to get out of what is a fairly small lexicon of things.
Yeah.
And it's
Mm.
very clear, these characters have been very specifically designed, carefully rigged
Yeah.
for that sort of thing. But it's just really, because you don't think about it when you're watching
No.
it. You're just taking
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
emotions
Yeah.
in. So yeah, it's really, I enjoy that part of just going,
Oh.
oh wow, they got that great expression. And we haven't actually talked about the fact that their eyebrows just float in space.
Yeah. They can go beyond.
They can
and,
go
yeah.
beyond and they can do it. But yeah, no,
Ah,
that's
yeah.
so, next time you're watching, or next time you're being forced to watch Bluey for the Xth number of times,
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
parent, have a look at that sort of thing, and it's really gives you another level of appreciation.
Yeah, for
Oh.
sure.
Designer Marty, everyone. Look at it. Love it.
Yeah.
All class, all class.
Robert.
Thank you.
Hey, should we check
Let's check our inbox.
No, I'm just kidding. Do it.
Marty just wants to watch the world burn.
I really
everyone.
do.
our
I love it.
All right, we have an email here from our mate Dan, who lives in North Carolina in the US. In brackets, shut up, Brendan. I assume Brendan has been here
Danny
before.
boy.
You assume correct, Danny.
Yeah.
After my daughter's 5th viewing of the entire series, at least the parts that are available in the US, I've decided I need even more Bluey in my life and found your wonderful podcast and been listening
Oh.
every day
Thanks,
for the last
Dan.
2 weeks. So he loves our entertainment, loves what
Wow,
we do.
I couldn't listen to you guys for 2 weeks.
If only. Also goes on to say that also we introduced him to the wonderful world of Vegemite. He also went and watched the Jimmy Fallon, Hugh Jackman clip that we mentioned. Like Brendan's holding back tears at this
This
moment.
episode
He's
didn't
so
make me cry.
happy.
This email is going to.
And out of a house of 4, himself and his son, they're on board with Vegemite.
Yeah.
Mum and daughter,
you know what's
not
up.
so much. But he's like, they'll cave. They'll
Yeah.
cave
I
eventually.
think
I
he said
get it. I
that-
get it.
Yeah.
It's a big ask.
Yeah.
If we
I
didn't
think
grow
they
up
said
with this
they
stuff.
haven't actually tried it yet. I think if you read the email, they haven't tried it. So it's
Well, yeah,
just,
still refused to try.
Oh,
Still
so
refuse
first
to try.
try it,
Yeah.
so-
So there's,
oh, yes.
there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's still,
It's
I'm
like-
still
there's
holding
time.
out hope.
Yeah.
Still
Yes,
holding
you know.
out hope.
I mean, I'm sure if you describe it as someone as, hey, just spread this salt on your bread, naturally there's a bit of pushback on that. So
Oh boy.
This
But,
brown, this rich
This-
brown
yeah, right.
salt.
but I got that right. It's Dan.
It's yeast
Dan,
extract.
yes.
extract.
Dan, I gotta tell you, when Frank forwarded this email through, I just, it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I said, "It's the perfect email."
yeah.
You
It
did.
says hello. It says that you listen to the podcast. It acknowledges that yes, I have been to the Carolinas, and they're beautiful, by the way. That whole sort of like southeast thing. I was visiting some friends that I've made on the trip in Georgia, and then I went north through the Carolinas, and just those Carolinas and the Virginias and everything. That's where the climate's most. A lot of the scenery reminded me of my home here in the Adelaide Hills.
Okay. I was
But
going to
that
ding
is
you,
by-
but I'll allow it.
yeah, no, but that's by the by. And you've given Vegemite a go. I am so happy
Perfect.
to know you.
How did you get Vegemite?
I guess it's available now.
Must be like
Because we always used to have to bring it.
or-
Whenever we used to travel when we
Yeah.
were younger, we had to bring it. We
Yep.
had to bring it in
Yeah.
our packs.
You can
but-
get it in those little toothpaste tubes.
Yeah, you can. Squeezing Vegemite onto yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
onto your bread.
I used
They
to
have
put
a
it straight onto
squeezable
my
version.
toothbrush and just like. Don't do that, everyone.
Don't do
if,
that.
if you're trying to get your wife and daughter into Vegemite, don't switch out their toothpaste for Vegemite.
I mean, if the
please.
point of brushing your teeth is to kill germs, Vegemite will probably
Vegemite
do
will
that.
it. Vegemite will do it straight to the ulcers. Really, you'll know about it.
But I think you guys are honorary Australians now.
Honorary
Oh, yeah.
Australians,
100%.
100%. And we're the
Anybody-
guys who can apparently.
We can
Yeah,
bestow
adorn
that
you
upon
though. Yeah,
anyone
yeah,
we
yeah.
like
I can print a certificate.
Yeah.
off the internet.
I'll draw one up.
We've so decided that we have that power.
Do you know what other power we have, Brendan?
What power do we have?
We have a power to give a lot of credit to people,
We do have that power.
particularly of the blue kind.
And let's do it because you've been paying me out for not having it ready. I have it ready right now.
Notice your phone's been opened the whole
It
time.
has, and it's got a little thing at the top that keeps on flashing. It's really
Yeah, it was
irritating.
really annoying, wasn't it? But
So please, just be disorganized next time.
all right.
Oh man, I don't need
My
that.
promise to you is I will, from here this day forward, be disorganized.
What a
How's that
guy.
any
It'd be a
different
real-
from what you've
It'd
done?
be really hard work for me.
So this is the only day in
Yeah.
your life. Yeah, okay.
But cue those drums because this week's I keep saying weeks. This roughly fortnight's
Not today, the podcast.
thank you, that's the word. This episode's credit where credit's due goes to, in the music department, Nicholas Baxter.
Hooray!
Thank you so much for all your hard work, Nicholas. And Nicholas on this episode was in the, I want to say, music publisher role.
Oh, okay.
Music publisher role. And that's why earlier I said it was quite serendipitous that you should mention the
Paw Patrol?
Paw Patrol thing, because it looks like Nicholas was the music publishing manager at BBC Studios, which
Right.
oversees
Of course.
the clearance and licensing of stuff like that. So Nicholas probably played a big role in getting that really nice Easter egg of a Paw
Yep.
Patrol ringtone. You know, I imagine that would probably fall under Nicholas's purview. And so for that and all the other things you do, Nicholas Baxter, credit where credit's due unto
Blue.
you.
Blue.
Oh, and
Where's
blue.
blue?
And blue.
Oh, this is my own segment. Thank you, Nicholas. I'll tell you what, I might jump in the car, open door, close door,
Seatbelt.
seatbelt, and get my butt on down to Hammer Barn.
Mhm.
Because, there are things
Don't
that I need.
ram raid it.
I will not do that.
I feel like you need some new curtains though.
I do need some new curtains because I tell you what,
They got scratched
pee
and
all
peed.
over them. my Australian curtains got peed on. My American ones, they got scratched. But folks, you can meet me there for all your curtains, be they peed or scratched. You can get replacements down aisle 300.
Left at the fake grass.
And if you hit a flamingo, you've gone too far.
I told you I'd do it.
Created and produced by Frank Brennan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley, and Reese, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.